Hello, everybody. This is Brenda Miller. I'm from Stampin' Up. I'm an independent demonstrator from Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I'm excited to be here with you today because I'm going to start going live every Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock. So I'm very excited. This has been a goal of mine for a long time to get this done. I hope that I can stick to the schedule, that my regular jobs don't get in the way, but I think I have cleared my calendar for several months ahead, so I should be able to do this. So look for me every Wednesday at 3 o'clock over here on my Stampin' with Brenda Facebook channel and YouTube channel. So anyway, today I wanted to start off with a card that is made with the, let's see, the Vintage Christmas Bundle. And this beautiful card we did in my last Christmas card class, which was held yesterday. And people were very excited to use it. And I've been wanting to use this stamp set for quite some time, but I just never quite got around to it. And, it is retiring. And tomorrow starts our last chance sale. This unfortunately is not on sale, but it will be available through the end of the year for the $16 that the stamp set costs. So you can see it here. Let me flip over to my desktop to show you where it is in the catalog. It's on page 63, as you can see, and it's just terrific. It's these little pieces here all coordinate to make that beautiful flower bundle. And what's really nice is that you could use this for any time of year. Obviously, the Happy Holidays is for the holidays, but by just changing out the colors, this could easily be a card for any occasion, just changing the sentiment. So without further ado, let's go ahead and make this card. So here are the cutting instructions. Very simple. We just have a few different pieces of paper, and I have them all cut right here. We have the card base is made with thick basic white cardstock. It's 8.5 by 5.5, folded at 4 1/4. We have a garden green panel. Whoops, sorry about that. Garden green panel for the background. And here, let me put them side by side so you can see. And that's 4 by 5 1/4. And then this strip here is the back side of one of the really pretty papers from the Painted Christmas DSP. Here's the other side of that. But we're going to use these little stripes, if you will. And then the basic white is we need 4.5 by 2.5 for this panel right here, and then some scraps for die cutting and punching. Okay, so if you want to just take a quick screenshot of that if you need it, or you could always go back to it on the replay. So let's go ahead and take our cardstock. Now this card is just, I have to admit that when I first started playing with it, I just couldn't get it right, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. And just to get everything lined up. And I'm going to show you how I ended up figuring it out, and now it's the easiest thing in the world, and I can't even believe I didn't think of it right away. But here we have our, card base cut in half, and then I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal, just because I prefer Stampin' Seal, a dry adhesive whenever I can. I think the wet adhesives, the green glue, if you will, this one, is great, and it's probably even stronger, but I just hate glue messes if I don't have to use them. So we have that base, and then I'm just going to take our DSP, and again, just using regular adhesive, I'm going to put that on just slightly lower than center across the card. And I'm going to set this aside because I'm not going to work with that anymore. I'm going to now just work with this piece. So what I ended up doing was pulling out my Stamparatus. I have to admit, I don't use my Stamparatus as often as I should. And I don't know why. I think because I keep it in a different spot on my desk and it just makes it difficult. Now, when I do my classes, I like to make it very clear where the paper goes. I do always put a magnet up at the top, or if it's very close to the side, sometimes I have to put it on both to make sure that when I close the door, it will stay. But you always want to make sure that your paper goes back to the same exact spot. Now you could use some repositionable adhesive on the back. I didn't, because I was making a whole bunch of these at once, and in my class, everybody was making 2 of each. I didn't use any repositionable adhesive. We were just picking them up with our hands. But what I ended up doing was taking each of the pieces and placing it onto the panel. So you'll see this one, this, I don't know what to call this, this door, if you will, actually has the flowers at the top, and then I'm going to flip it over. Oops, sorry, the way the camera is, and then be able to do the leaves both on the same panel. And then I have my last piece with the little pine cones on a second panel. So this way, when everybody was at class, they could just come through and put them, just slide them in and out and do whatever they needed to do. Now, what I ended up doing in order to line these up is I took the flower and I laid it down here, and I'm not going to do it again just because then everything's going to get mixed up, but I placed it down, and then once I had the flowers where I wanted them, I took these leaves and then actually peeled them off, and I placed them onto the paper where I wanted them. And then I closed the door, and it picked up the stamps. And so now that they're on the panel, it just made it so much easier because I was able to put everything exactly where I needed it to go. So without further ado, now it doesn't matter which order I do any of these. So because I have my leaves are on the upside or the downside, depends how you look at it. I'm just going to ink that up with Garden Green, place it down, and then pick it up again. Now you see how it ends up sticking, but look at that. I have a beautiful image right there. If I didn't get it right, I could have picked it up and done it again. Here we go. I'm flipping it over. And now I'm going to move to my red ink pad, and this red one is actually Poppy Parade. And I will ink up my flowers and press them down, and we'll see how they came out. If I didn't like them, again, I could have inked them up again, but I think they look really good. Now I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by how I lined them up. So now I have these here, and to be honest, this wasn't so hard. These 2 pieces weren't so hard to do. It was this last one that was difficult because this stamp has pine cones, and it also has the centers of the flowers. And I was having the darndest time trying to get them to line up. But boy, oh boy, when I went like this, watch this. I'm just going to go ahead and lay them down. I'm aiming to get the centers of the flowers exactly where I want them. And now that I have them down here on the paper, I'm going to take my door. I'm going to slide it shut. It's going to pick it up. And then when I take my soft suede ink pad and ink it up, they're going to end up exactly where I want them. And this just made the whole thing worthwhile. So now I have my beautifully stamped piece. And here we go. And I actually was making a bunch of these, and I was able to just slide the papers in and out and then slide the panels in and out. And I made 16 of them in pretty short order. So now that I have that, I want to work on the bottle. And I have I have a trick associated with that as well. Now, of course, I do not seem to have a scrap of white paper here for it. Here, I'm just going to use this. And I'm going to stamp the bottle. Now, you know this bottle is also available in another stamp set in the main catalog called Bottled Happiness. And that is where the bundle is for the bottle and the punch. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up. I'm going to stamp it towards the bottom of my paper only because I know that when I use the punch, I need to have this pretty close because it slides into the punch, and if it's not right, then I have to go back and cut it so that I can punch it, and I'll show you that in a second. But before I do that, I'm going to be very tricky, and I'm going to use some Scotch heavy duty shipping tape, and this is clear packing tape, and hopefully it's not sticking to itself because, of course I moved it around. Forgive the sound because it's horrible. I'm going to tear off a piece, and I'm going to place it over my bottle. And when I do that, I now have a shiny bottle. Look at that. So that's just a fun trick that you can do to make this card that much more fun and festive. So as you can see, it only can go this far. So you want to make sure that when you stamp it, you have it at the bottom. And if not, you just cut it. It's no big deal. I line it up. I press. You kind of have to press hard. And then hardest part about the whole day is getting this out of there. It's not sticky or anything. It's just kind of thick. So here you go. So now I've got my beautiful shiny bottle. Okay. Now that we have that, let us finish this card off. Now you'll see that this is a little too long, and the reason we want it this size is because we don't want it to overpower the entire card. So what I'm going to do is just use my paper snips and cut off the top of the bottle. And by doing so, it's smaller. And where's my tape? There it is. Everything slides around over here. Using regular Stampin' Seal, I'm going to go ahead and place that down. And you can see that that's just kind of fun. All right. And because I don't like that, you can see like the area in between, we have a fix for that always. We have some ribbon. And this is where's the name? Let me see. The satin edged ribbon. So it's actually golden vanilla satin edged ribbon. And I'm just going to tie a knot. I like to pull my knot really tight, and I like to tie it while it's still on the spool. So there we go. When I'm making a knot, I just think it looks prettier. That's just me, when it's tied really tightly. And then I'm just going to trim it at an angle. And then I'm going to put it on there with a glue dot. Very simply with our nice glue dots. Where's my note? Here we go. Now these glue dots are coming where they're on the top side as opposed to the bottom side. If those of you who have been using glue dots for a long time, you'll know that that's a new feature of these, and I find it easiest to just tear it off the roll and then press my ribbon to it. So hopefully you could see that, how I did it. So that is our ribbon. And then I'm going to adhere it to my card front, and this is where I'm going to use dimensionals. I always seem to have dimensionals on all my cards, and I don't go crazy with them. I just put 2. A lot of people use a lot of them. I'm not trying to hoard them. They just are very strong, and I don't really want it, sticking up so far. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't make a difference. So as long as I have that done. So here's the card, and then the final touch is my very favorite embellishment in the catalog. I know I say that a lot, but this one keeps coming back as my tried and true. These are the champagne rhinestones, and I'm just going to put a few of them on. I'm going to just use the small ones for this, just because I am. And then one more we'll put over here. Now the last thing is maybe the hardest thing. Now, what I did for my sentiment is I took the Happy Holidays stamp, and you'll see it looks kind of like a bottle cap. Isn't that fun, the way that it has the edges? And so what I did was I cut out using the stylish shaped dies, and this is the 3rd time I've lost this little circle. Since I was setting up, it's probably now on the floor. Let's see if I can find another one over here. Here it is. Okay. And so I use the very small, very smallest one. Here we go. You can see that. And I wanted to stamp it down. Now, in order to get it for my eyesight to be able to see it, I needed to put it on a darker background, and I'm just going to use my silicone mat for that. Sorry, I had to get up to get it. You can't tell that though. But here we go. I'm going to put it on my silicone mat. Silicone mat has so many great uses. You can see that this kind of does have an upside and a downside, but fortunately we're covering a lot of it with this stamp. So I'm just going to use my Poppy Parade again and ink it up and hopefully aim for the center. I got a lot of these off center yesterday when I was doing them. But here we go. Oops. There we go. So we have our happy holidays. You can see my ink pad probably needs to be re-inked. It went through a lot yesterday. And what I'm going to do is use a dimensional on the, I'm going to use a dimensional on the right side only so that I can have it hanging off of the main part, which is also mounted on dimensionals. And so this way it will lay flat. That's just a little tip. And here we have it. There's your Happy Holidays card. Now, I mentioned before that this stamp set is retiring, and we are going to be sad to see it go. But tomorrow we have a last chance sale starting, and there are a lot of things that are going to be on sale up to 60% off. And so it's something that you might want to take a look at. I have an Excel spreadsheet that shows you everything that's on sale, and I will post that in the I have the link to it in the comments. That'll be there later as soon as this broadcast is over. And it's also in my newsletter. So if you do not currently subscribe to my newsletter that I send on the first of the month and a couple of times during the month after that, please sign up for my email list by going to my blog, which is BrendaMillerSU.com. Very simple, BrendaMillerSU.com, and I will also put that in the notes. But I wanted to show you a couple of things before I forget. So the Vintage Christmas set, as I mentioned, is going to be retiring, as is most of the catalog. One thing that is not retiring that we used today was that satin edge ribbon. I'm very excited that's going to be around. And my number one recommendation, if you're looking for a bargain and I don't know what to get, and I meant to mark the page, but I forgot. But I think that boy, this is not my best moment. Here we go. It's right on the next page. The Splendid Day bundle, not bundle, but the suite itself. This stamp set is everything on this page is retiring. However, this is not on sale, but the other pieces are. And this gorgeous, gorgeous paper is 60% off. It is $6 a pack. And I just think that this is going to be the best bargain. And if it's something that you think you would like, you probably want to jump on it right away because I can't imagine it's going to last. So I just wanted to point that out as my number one recommendation for sale items starting tomorrow. So you can see all the details tomorrow on my in the store. That you can also find the information in my email and on my blog. So I think that's it for today's live. Thanks, Lois. I'm glad you liked the card. I know you are very familiar with this card as you made it yesterday as well. So thank you for joining me today, and look for me next week at the same time at the same channel. So that's my quick class, and it's on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. So we'll see you then. Thank you so much. Bye.